In what comes as a big diplomatic win for India, the SCO declaration took a strong stance against terrorism and member countries condemned the April 22nd Pahalgam terrorist attack. Now, this marks a big shift from the joint declaration issued in June after the SCO Defence Ministers Summit, when India had opted out of the joint statement, citing no mention of the Pahalgam terror attack. The Tianjin declaration, which was adopted by SCO leaders, has stated that perpetrators, organizers and sponsors of such attacks must be brought to justice. The joint declaration added that member states strongly condemn terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, and that double standards in fight against terror were unacceptable. Now, this comes after Prime Minister Modi exposed Pakistan during his powerful address at the plenary session of the SCO Summit. PM Modi delivered a strong message on terror, with Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in attendance. He's emphasized that terrorism is a universal threat and warned against selective approaches. The PM also highlighted how India took the initiative to fight Al-Qaeda and terror groups associated with it by leading the joint information operation. The Prime Minister stated that this attack was an open challenge to every country and person who believes in humanity. He asked, can open support of terrorism by some countries be acceptable to us?
आतंकवाद से लड़ाई में भारत ने एकजुटता पर बल दिया। इसमें एससीओ रेड की बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका रही। इस वर्ष भारत ने जॉइंट इंफॉर्मेशन ऑपरेशन को लीड करते हुए अल-कायदा और इससे जुड़े आतंकी संगठनों से लड़ने का इनिशिएटिव किया। टेरर फाइनेंसिंग के खिलाफ आवाज उठाई। इसमें मिले समर्थन के लिए मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। यह हमला केवल भारत की अंतरात्मा पर भी आघात नहीं, यह मानवता में विश्वास रखने वाले हर देश, हर व्यक्ति को खुली चुनौती थी। ऐसे में प्रश्न उठना स्वाभाविक है, क्या कुछ देशों द्वारा आतंकवाद का खुलेआम समर्थन हमें स्वीकार्य हो सकता है?
Opposition, however, jumped in to raise questions, asking why is PM Modi shaking hands with the leader of the nation which helped Pakistan during Operation Sindoor? Congress questioned why didn't PM Modi raise the issue of Galwan in his meeting with the Chinese president, while Samajwadi Party said that China cannot be trusted. Yesterday, we'd seen AIM's OAC also raising a number of issues, from water sharing disputes with China to the border situation, to claim that the Modi-Xi meeting has failed to deliver on substantive issues. But CPM, on the other hand, has welcomed reviving of collaboration with China.
No Prime Minister would resort to this shamelessness. Until few weeks ago, months ago, China and Pakistan were fighting us together in Operation Sindoor. And now China has become a victim of terror for this Prime Minister. Shameless.
चाइना ने जिस तरह से भारतवर्ष की जमीनों पर कब्जा किया, जो अब मैं बार बार देख रहा हूं कि जो ये है पाकिस्तान को सपोर्ट किया, इसमें सिंदूर ऑपरेशन में उन्होंने सपोर्ट किया। वो लोग जो पाकिस्तान को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, खुलेआम उनको हथियार दे रहे हैं, उनके साथ हम जाके बात कर रहे हैं, इसका मतलब क्या है? मुझे अच्छी तरह याद है कि श्री मुलायम सिंह यादव जी ने हमेशा कहते थे कि हमें पाकिस्तान से इतना ज्यादा खतरा नहीं है जितना हमें चाइना से खतरा है।
दिस इज एन वेलकम डेवलपमेंट बिकॉज अर्लियर इंडिया वाज बेंट टू imperialist forces, America. We always said, we should have good relation with our neighbor. We cannot change our neighbor. India is doing well to have good relation with Russia and China.
मुझे तो लग रहा है जयराम रमेश जैसे लोग राहुल गांधी को सलाहकार हैं, जो जिंदगी भर चाइना के एम्बेसी और चाइना के साथ पैक्ट करके रहे। जब देश गलवान की घाटी में, तो ये चाइना के एम्बेसी में जा रहे थे राहुल गांधी। ये लोग तो एंटी नेशनल हैं। एंटी नेशनल तो उसे कहते हैं जो भारत के खिलाफ साजिश करे, उसमें राहुल गांधी का नाम आता है।
All right, joining us now is Siddharth Yadav, national spokesperson of the BJP. We have Ashok Sajanar, former diplomat, joining us. Kapil Madan, advocate and political analyst, is with us. We also have Asif Sohail, who's a political analyst, with us. But my first question is to Siddharth Sharma, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Siddharth Sharma, why is the Aam Aadmi Party and why are the opposition parties objecting to the Prime Minister? This is being seen as a landmark visit, the first visit after 7 years. But rather than looking at the diplomatic wins, we are looking at it as a failure of Indian diplomacy. Why is that the case?
No, in fact, Aam Aadmi Party looks at it in a different way. It was really melancholic to see Indian Prime Minister hugging Chinese and Turkish premiers. Not 100 days ago, one of them gave missiles and the other gave drones to Pakistan during Operation Sindoor, by which dozens of civilians, including kids, were killed. As per Colonel Sophia Qureshi herself, no one laughs during a family crisis, Madhav. So while Punjab is reeling under floods, instead of releasing Punjabi's hard-earned 60,000 crores, instead of at least talking to Punjab's head of state with a condolence, when Pradhanji giggles with enemy nations, isn't he insulting 140 crore Indians? In a country where even biscuits are called Parle-G, this obsession of BJP ecosystem to somehow gain optical fame is silly beyond imagination.
Mr. Siddharth Sharma, first of all, you're mixing up two completely different issues. We are discussing diplomacy, and certainly the flood situation in Punjab is grim. There's no two ways about it, but I think linking it to what's happening as far as Tianjin is concerned is a little unfair. But nevertheless, I want to bring in Siddharth Yadav to respond to you. Siddharth Yadav, the point opposition parties are making is that these are countries, whether it is China, whether it is Turkey, these are all countries that had supplied arms and ammunition to Pakistan. At a time like this, why did we see the Prime Minister go and meet these individuals or the leaders of these countries who were very clearly playing a role that was against the interests of India? Your response, Siddharth Yadav.
Madhav, I think diplomacy is something which is beyond the understanding of the opposition, or probably they act too naive to not understand it. Diplomacy is about balance. Diplomacy is about putting your country's interests first and changing according to the changing dynamics of the world. If we say that we have participated in SCO and we have gone to China, it does not show either that we have let our guard down, neither it shows that we are too optimistic of what has to come from it. But what has to be understood is that if a regional diplomacy is being initiated, if in the changing dynamics around the world, something is being led by Asia, India has the voice of 142 crore Indians in that forum. We cannot let that forum let the SCO be an echo chamber for Pakistan and China. We cannot let such platforms which can voice the aspirations of 142 crore Indians be unheard of or be not represented by the Indian aspirations. Now the opposition doesn't understand this. Opposition only wants politics. If you go to SCO, then also it's a politics. If you don't go to SCO, then also it's a politics. Let me tell you, your viewers, while India is participating in the SCO, while we are putting forth Indian interests, while we are in China, while Prime Minister Modi is in China, our Indian armed forces and ITBP are also conducting military exercises in Arunachal Pradesh called Achuk Prahar. We are giving a very clear message. Diplomacy doesn't come at the cost of defense. Diplomacy is what India's policy has been. The policy is very simple: nation first. That is what we have been following. We are following a policy of nation first, where we have to protect our interests, where we have to put forth the interest of 142 crore Indians.
Let me bring in other panelists now. Allow me to bring in other panelists now. Kapil Madan, I want you to come in on this. The point is that at no level is our defense or national interest being compromised, says the BJP spokesperson, but this is how diplomacy works. You have to engage with top leaders if you have to move ahead, whether it is Galwan, whether it is other issues where China seeks more cooperation with India. And we've seen that statement coming in yesterday following the bilateral meeting when China says, let's work together rather than competing. And that's how diplomacy functions. At a time when there's so much happening internationally, are we now going to sit and nitpick when we look at these big meetings and developments taking place, Kapil Madan?
So Madhav, what I think is, I've heard my good friend Siddharth from the BJP, and it appears that he is trying to confuse diplomacy with contradictions. He thinks that it's kind of a choreography where you go at one place and you shift your stance, the way you do in choreography. And let me give you an example. we all saw what happened in Galwan. We saw that, we've lost our soldiers. And what happened thereafter? What we did, we banned a few Chinese applications. We banned some Chinese websites. And there was a lot of hue and cry that was made by the government that, we will not be trading with China. And China was shown as an enemy country. Now, what we've seen in the Operation Sindoor, the Ministry of Defense on record has said that it is not that was Pakistan alone who was fighting this war. They had all support from China. China was not only supplying them the military equipments, they were also supplying them with the military intelligence, and perhaps that also caused some harm to us. I mean, it is again disputable whether harm came, harm didn't come, but it's the government own stand on record factually that China did help Pakistan when this entire
valid point, Kapil.
Now let's look at
Kapil, valid point. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. There's a simple clarification I'm asking from you. By the same yardstick which you are mentioning, US provides F-16s to Pakistan. Should we stop talking to US also?
No, allow me. So we never on record said that, US is our enemy or US is facilitating, Pakistan insofar as India and Pakistan conflict was. This was not the position. But despite that, what happened after was we all saw how our diplomacy, how our foreign policy failed, because Prime Ministers, if you look at his own statements, Prime Ministers on record have said that Donald Trump is his personal friend. Not only a personal friend, Mr. Modi also went to the United States of America and campaigned in an election program of.
We'll come to the US. We'll come to the US. We're discussing China right now. You're calling this a foreign policy failure.
Hold on. We're talking diplomacy, right?
Yeah, correct. But let's get in a response. You're saying that there's an intelligence failure. China has helped its intelligence as far as Pakistan is concerned. Let me bring in Ashok Sajanar. Ashok Sajanar, it's a valid concern that defense, when it comes to wars such as Operation Sindoor, if China has played a role supporting Pakistan, why should we be engaging with such a country is what several opposition leaders are saying. Your response to that argument, Ashok Sajanar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madhav. And, China is a big country. As you know, it's a neighbor, 3,500 kilometers long border with India. It is an undemarcated border. There are skirmishes taking place. China is a big economy. As far as India is concerned, India's industry, India's manufacturing, India's growth is heavily dependent upon imports from China. That has been coming down in the area of finished products, but in the area of raw materials, intermediate, there is, still a huge dependence of India on China, not of today, not of 10 years, but it has been going on for the last 25 years. Now, it is good for both the countries. It is definitely good for India that we have peace and tranquility on the border. We have security on the border. And you cannot get security without talking to them. So I think it is necessary that we have talk, conversation, negotiation, and develop a modus vivendi. Now, when a leader goes to China, shaking hands is the normal diplomatic international protocol. I don't think there was any hug between Mr. Xi and Prime Minister Modi. There were hugs between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin, like it always happens. Russia, before that Soviet Union, they have always been very good friends and partners. There was I could not even see a conversation between Erdogan and Prime Minister Modi, let alone hugs or shake hands. So I think let us be accurate in what we are trying to speak about this. As far as our talk with China is concerned, we made all our issues, our concerns very clear, whether it was in terms of terrorism, support to terrorism, that is, and, we'll have to see whether China walks the talk. We also told them, we want multipolarity in the world, but we also want a multipolar Asia. The last point I want to make here, Madhav, also is that in the bilateral talks, Prime Minister said we want to have this relationship based on mutual sensitivity, mutual respect, and mutual interest, which means that China is not going to ride roughshod. In a 20-minute conversation, Madhav, let us all realize these are issues coming from 1962, whether it is border, whether it is terrorism. In a 20-minute conversation, 20 minutes taken over by translation, you can't solve those issues, but you have to set a roadmap. The roadmap has been set.
Right.
There are going to be discussions, and we will hope that we will always be cautious, but we'll hope that, we'll have peace and tranquility on the border.
Okay, but let me bring in fact, Asif Sohail as well. Asif Sohail, your leader, Asudin Owaisi, comes out to say that, China's support for Pakistan during Operation Sindoor, he's talking about hydrological river data. The point is, unless you start negotiating with the country, how are you going to resolve these issues? Diplomacy is the way forward. अगर आप डिप्लोमेसी के थ्रू बातचीत नहीं करेंगे तो कैसे इस मुद्दे को रिजॉल्व करेंगे?
सर, ये नए हिंदुस्तान है या जो सो एक गूंगा हिंदुस्तान है, मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा, जहां पर मुल्क के प्रधानमंत्री प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी जी ने जाकर वहां के प्रेसिडेंट से मुलाकात करते हैं। क्या गलवान का शहीदों को भूल गए हमें, और हम लद्दाख की जमीन जो कब्जे में है आज वो भूल गए हैं, और कई पानी के मसले हैं वो सब छोड़कर वो कर रहे हैं क्या है, फोटो लेते हैं, हाथ मिलाते हैं। हम ला रहे हैं क्या है वहां से, एक स्माइल बताकर फोटो लेकर एक टीआरपी कर रहे हैं कि आज इतना कमजोर हो गया कि क्या मुल्क का प्राइम मिनिस्टर जो जवाब देने के लिए पीछे हट रहे हैं। सर, कब तक ये चीज रहेंगी? जो कंट्री चाइना पाकिस्तान का साथ दे रहे हैं।
आसिफ सोहेल जी, कैलाश मानसरोवर यात्रा शुरू हुई है, फ्लाइट शुरू हुए हैं, क्या करना चाहिए था भारत सरकार को? चाइना से बातचीत बंद करें, ट्रेड ना करें, कुछ ना करें?
सर मेरी जवाब देने दीजिए। सर, जो पाकिस्तान को साथ देगा वो हमारा दुश्मन है, हम उसके खिलाफ ठहरेंगे बराबर। तो आज प्रधानमंत्री पूरी दुनिया को बता दिए कि वो एक खामोश प्रधानमंत्री है, कोई जवाब नहीं देंगे, खाली सेल्फी लेंगे, मन की बात करेंगे। आप अगर कुछ करना चाह रहे हैं तो गलवान के जो तो शहीदों को इंसाफ दीजिए। आप लद्दाख की जमीन जो हमारी कब्जा हो चुकी है उसको दीजिए।
आसिफ सोहेल जी, मिडिल ईस्ट के कई देश है इस तरह जो पाकिस्तान को सपोर्ट करते हैं, आप क्या कहते हैं? उन सबसे बातचीत करना बंद कर दें, हम सबके साथ रिश्ते तोड़ दें?
अरे सर, हम बराबर, देखिए सर, आप खामोश रहने से तो दूसरे मुल्क वाले सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं ना सर। आप बताना चाहिए, हिंदुस्तान पूरे दुनिया का सौम्य ताकतवर मुल्क है, एक जमहूरियत का मुल्क है, और हिंदुस्तानिया देखिए सौम्य हमारी ताकत इस भारत के
जो किसने बोला कि कमजोर है सर?
सिख ईसाई है
या जमहूरियत नहीं है? लेकिन लेट मी ब्रेन सिद्धार्थ यादव, क्विक रिस्पॉन्स, सिद्धार्थ यादव।
Madhav, I don't understand this argument of my learned friend. वो कह रहे हैं कि लद्दाख की जमीन उसके बाद कैसे बात कर लिया। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के अंदर तो कोई जमीन नहीं गई है। नेहरू जी अक्साई चीन देकर आ गए थे, 35,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर। बात करना छोड़ दें, क्या करें हम? What are you talking about? कौन किसका दुश्मन है तो बाद में देखा जाएगा। ये भारत के दुश्मन कौन है जो सब जानते हुए माधव, they don't want India to act rightly. It's a summit, it's a platform where India has to voice India's interest. पर कोई भारत की बात करके बाहर कह रहा है, you don't like that. Chinese diplomats are saying that Indian exports to China in core issues like pepper, cotton yarn, they have increased by 240%. Indian imports, which were banned by China, which were very critical to few of our industries, of rare earth
Kapil Madan, quick response.
Fertilizers,
Kapil Madan, Aksai Chin gifted away, should we have broken diplomatic ties, is the question coming from Siddharth Yadav. Respond to that.
No, so Madhav, when actually, this war with China happened, there was a discussion in parliament, but now we have a government who even fails to acknowledge that yes, there is a dispute, there is a conflict. That's the problem. And what we are seeing is that we don't get the entire information, and the government conceals and put all these information under the carpet.
Which information, sir?
Allow me to give you an example. If nothing happened in Galwan, you give me a reason why did we ban Chinese apps? Why did we ban Chinese websites? Why did, our honorable Prime Minister, made a call that we should be boycotting Chinese goods?
Sir, the apps are still banned to the best of my knowledge. The apps are still banned.
And tell me something.
And let me, there's limited time, please. Ashok sir, a quick response. Is this a stated fact?
Madhav, as far as Galwan is concerned, we acknowledge that 20 of our soldiers were martyred. As a result of that, there was a complete, stoppage in terms of interaction between India and China, except at the level of military commanders and defense experts, specialists. It is only after a hiatus of 4.5 years that the two leaders met in Kazan last year. So,
Right.
I think we took a very firm stand.
Yes, and it is a fact that Chinese soldiers were also killed in that clash. We'll have to leave it there. I'm sorry, Ashok Sanjana, I'm cutting you short. Siddharth Yadav, Kapil Madan, Asif Sohail and Siddharth Sharma, thanks so much for joining us this evening. That's